Maya Thornton never imagined that a simple walk through the woods would turn her life into a nightmare. Detective Arjun Vail had faced many dark cases, but nothing prepared him for the twisted secrets hiding in Briarwood. And Lena Marlowe, a determined journalist, was about to uncover a monster far more dangerous than anyone expected, one hiding in plain sight, protected by power and fear. This is the story of facing a monster that shattered a town and changed lives forever. In the quiet town of Briarwood, where the streets were usually calm and the neighbors knew each other by name, the sudden disappearance of Sarah Pierce shook the entire community to its core. Sarah was a 17-year-old high school student with a bright future, known for her kindness and involvement in local activities. But one chilly autumn evening, she vanished without a trace. Her parents reported her missing after she failed to return home from a friend's house, and the local police began their search immediately. Detective Arjun Vail, a man with years of experience and an instinct for detail, was assigned to the case. From the moment he stepped into Sarah's room, something about the scene didn't sit right with him. The bedroom was mostly untouched, but the broken window told a story of a desperate struggle. Shards of glass lay scattered on the floor, and the curtains fluttered gently in the evening breeze. There was no sign of forced entry through the front door, which made Arjun suspect Sarah knew her attacker, or that the danger had come from inside the house. The initial investigation uncovered little. No eyewitnesses, no clear motive, no suspicious phone calls. The only clues were a set of muddy footprints leading from the broken window into the nearby woods, and a faint smell of gasoline that lingered in the air, raising more questions than answers. The town's usual sense of security began to crumble. As rumors spread like wildfire, parents grew anxious, locking their doors tighter and watching their children with wary eyes. At the same time, Lena Marlowe, an investigative journalist from the city, arrived in Briarwood. She had been following a disturbing pattern of missing girls in small towns across the region. While many of these disappearances had been officially closed as runaway cases or accidents, Lena sensed a darker, hidden story. Her instinct told her there was a link between Sarah's case and others that authorities had overlooked. With a camera and notebook in hand, Lena began digging into the town's history, questioning old records and speaking quietly with residents who still remembered past disappearances. Lena quickly discovered that Sarah was not the first to vanish under mysterious circumstances. Over the last 10 years, at least 5 other young women had disappeared in Briarwood and surrounding areas, none ever found. Each case had been quietly shelved, often attributed to teenagers running away from troubled homes or getting lost in the dense forests nearby. But Lena noticed strange similarities. All the girls had last been seen near wooded areas, and in every case there were signs of violence or struggle that were never fully investigated. The town's quietness was deceptive. Beneath its peaceful surface lay fear and silence. Many residents were reluctant to talk openly, unwilling to disturb the fragile sense of normalcy they clung to. Lena's probing questions met with guarded answers, and she soon realized that some people might be protecting secrets far worse than anyone wanted to admit. Detective Vail found himself increasingly frustrated. The case was going nowhere, and pressure from the town's leaders was mounting to bring quick results. But Arjun's instincts pushed him to look beyond the obvious. He began to review the old cases, searching for a pattern that might lead to the person responsible. His long hours in the police archives revealed chilling consistencies. The same areas where the girls disappeared, the same time of year, and a strange absence of witnesses or evidence. It was as if someone was carefully covering their tracks. One night, while reviewing Sarah's room, Arjun discovered a small, nearly hidden clue. A scrap of torn fabric caught on the jagged edge of the broken window. It was unusual material, rough and dark, unlike anything Sarah would have worn. This small piece suggested that the attacker might have been hiding nearby, waiting for the right moment. Arjun's determination to find the truth deepened. He felt the monster responsible was still close, watching the town in silence. Meanwhile, Lena continued to interview families of the missing girls, gathering stories that painted a picture of fear, suspicion, and broken lives. One elderly woman told her about strange noises in the woods late at night, while a former police officer shared his regret at not pushing harder in previous investigations. The walls of silence were beginning to crack. As the days passed, the Atiqui town's atmosphere grew heavier. Parents kept their children home from school, neighbors watched each other with growing distrust, and the local police faced mounting criticism for their slow progress. Yet Sarah's trail remained cold. Then, in a startling development, a local hunter found a discarded backpack near the edge of the forest, soaked and torn. Inside were personal items belonging to Sarah: her school books, a bracelet, and a note with a phone number. The note was cryptic, hinting at a secret meeting but giving no clear explanation. This discovery reignited hope, but also deepened the mystery. Who had left the backpack? Was Sarah trying to escape someone? Or was it a cruel message from the person who took her? Both Arjun and Lena realized they were chasing a shadow, a monster hiding in plain sight, surrounded by silence and fear. The search for Sarah was no longer just about one girl. It had become a battle to expose the darkness lurking beneath Briarwood's calm surface. The town was on edge, and everyone wondered if the nightmare was far from over. Maya Thornton's life had been shattered by a violent attack that left deep scars, both visible and hidden. She was the only known survivor linked to the string of disappearances that had haunted Briarwood for years. The incident had taken place nearly 2 years ago, but Maya's memories were still fragmented and haunting. She rarely spoke about that night, preferring to live quietly on the edge of town, far from the curious eyes and whispered rumors. Despite her trauma, Maya held the key to a mystery no one else could solve. When Lena Marlowe first approached her, Maya was hesitant. Years of silence and fear had built an invisible wall around her. But something about Lena's persistence and genuine desire to uncover the truth gave her the courage to share what she remembered. Maya's account was unsettling. She described a figure who didn't fit the typical profile of a criminal, a man who appeared normal in the daylight, blending seamlessly into the town's daily life. There was no face in her memory that stood out clearly, only fleeting impressions: a calm voice, familiar hands, and a sense of calculated menace. The attack itself had been brutal. Maya was caught off guard while walking through a wooded path she had used for years. The assailant struck quickly, overpowering her before she could call for help. She barely escaped with her life, but the experience left her scarred and terrified. The trauma had isolated her from friends and family, and the local police's failure to catch the attacker only deepened her fear. She believed the monster was still out there, watching, waiting. Maya's revelation sent shockwaves through the investigation. Detective Arjun Vail listened carefully to her details, noting the subtle clues she provided about the attacker's habits and behavior. Her story didn't just add facts, it opened new avenues of inquiry. It suggested that the person responsible was not a stranger or an outsider, but someone from within Briarwood, someone who had managed to keep a frightening secret for years. As Maya slowly regained some strength, she and Lena began to piece together connections that had gone unnoticed. One name kept appearing in the background: Reid Calloway, a local businessman known for his wealth and influence. Reid was a man who had built his reputation on generosity and community involvement, sponsoring local events and charities. But beneath that polished surface, there were whispers, rumors of intimidation, threats, and silenced victims. Many residents who had once trusted him were now too afraid to speak openly. Lena's investigation revealed that Reid's power stretched far beyond what the town realized. He had allies in law enforcement, local government, and even some business circles. This network of influence created a shield that kept suspicions from turning into charges. Those who tried to question him or get too close to the truth found themselves facing subtle warnings or social exile. The monster Maya described was protected by a web of fear and silence. The tension in Briarwood grew as Lena published stories hinting at this hidden corruption. Some readers praised her courage, while others accused her of stirring trouble and damaging the town's reputation. Reid remained publicly unshaken, his smile never faltering, but behind closed doors, the pressure was mounting. Detective Vail's professional instincts told him to dig deeper. He reviewed old case files, financial records, and private communications, searching for proof to connect Reid to the disappearances. Though evidence was scarce, subtle inconsistencies began to appear. Unexplained expenses, missing timeframes, and conflicting witness accounts that painted a darker picture of Reid's activities. The detective realized the monster they sought was cunning, using the town's trust as a mask. Meanwhile, Maya's courage inspired others to speak quietly about what they knew or suspected. A neighbor mentioned strange visits Reid made late at night, and a former employee hinted at threats made against anyone who crossed him. These whispers added weight to Lena and Arjun's suspicions, but also raised the stakes dangerously high. One night, Maya received an anonymous note warning her to stay silent. Fear gripped her, but this time she refused to back down. The attack had nearly destroyed her, but now, fueled by determination and the support of Lena and Arjun, Maya was ready to face her fears. She knew that exposing the truth could save others from suffering the same fate. Despite the danger, Maya agreed to help plan a sting operation to catch the monster in the act. The trap was set carefully, using Maya as bait under close protection. Everyone waited anxiously, hoping the nightmare would finally end. But as the operation unfolded, a sudden, unexpected twist shocked everyone. Maya's sudden disappearance, in the midst of the plan, threw everything into chaos. The monster had struck again, more daring, more ruthless than anyone had imagined. The town's fragile hope was shattered, and fear gripped Briarwood tighter than ever. The realization settled like a cold shadow. The monster was still out there, closer than anyone dared to believe. And this time, the fight to stop it would be more dangerous than ever before. Detective Arjun Vail's investigation took a sharp turn when Elias Grange came under scrutiny. Elias was a quiet man in his late 40s, known to most of Briarwood as a recluse who lived on the outskirts, surrounded by dense woods. Few in the Yati town had close contact with him, and he rarely ventured into public spaces. His withdrawn nature made him an easy target for suspicion when unusual clues pointed toward the forested areas near his home. Elias's past was a patchwork of shadows and half-truths. He had moved to Briarwood years ago after a troubled history, in another state, where rumors of violent outbursts and strange behavior followed him. The locals whispered about the night he disappeared for several days without explanation, only to return as a changed man. Some saw him as dangerous, while others felt pity for someone so isolated. Detective Vail, however, knew that judging Elias solely on rumors wouldn't solve the case. He needed evidence. As Arjun dug deeper, he discovered that Elias's life was far more complicated than it seemed. Inside the small cabin Elias called home, there were signs of a man struggling with his own demons. Old journals filled with erratic notes, broken photographs, and a locked box that seemed to hold secrets. The detective sensed Elias might be haunted by something far older and darker than the recent disappearances. What complicated the investigation was the absence of direct evidence linking Elias to the crimes. There were no witnesses who could place him near the missing girls at critical times, no physical proof tying him to the attacks. Instead, there was a growing realization that Elias might be a red herring, someone manipulated or used as a scapegoat by a more cunning and dangerous individual. Further examination of Elias's journals revealed cryptic references to threats and warnings, suggesting that he was being pressured by unknown forces. The notes hinted at a secret network operating within Briarwood, one that controlled many aspects of the town's life and silenced anyone who threatened to expose the truth. Elias's paranoia, once dismissed as mental instability, began to seem more like a desperate attempt to survive. Meanwhile, Lena Marlowe uncovered troubling details about the town's underbelly. The influence of Reid Calloway and his associates was deeper and more far-reaching than anyone had suspected. Financial records and discreet conversations revealed a system of intimidation and corruption designed to keep the truth hidden. It became clear that Elias, despite his flaws, was caught in the crossfire of a battle between powerful forces. Detective Vail started to see a new picture emerge: Elias as a pawn rather than the player, someone trapped by threats and coercion. This theory gained strength when a trusted informant came forward, offering a shocking piece of the puzzle. The informant described secret meetings held in a remote warehouse, where plans were made to maintain silence and control over the town. Elias had been seen there, but only as a reluctant participant, forced by fear to cooperate. The atmosphere in Briarwood grew tense. People who had once feared Elias now questioned if the real monster was someone else entirely. Lena's reporting stirred the town again, pushing residents to reconsider their assumptions. The boundaries between victim and suspect blurred, creating a complex web of trust and betrayal. As Arjun and Lena worked together, they began to unravel the network's structure. The more they learned, the more dangerous their pursuit became. Those involved in the conspiracy were willing to go to great lengths to protect their secrets, and the threat extended beyond mere intimidation. Anonymous threats, attempts to discredit the investigation, and even sabotage at the police station showed the stakes were higher than anyone imagined. One night, while reviewing the latest findings in his office, Detective Vail received a disturbing call, a warning to drop the case or face severe consequences. It was a chilling reminder that the monster they faced was no ordinary criminal. It was a hidden force embedded in the town's fabric, controlling lives and manipulating truths. Despite the dangers, Arjun refused to back down. The survival of Maya Thornton and the fate of Sarah Pierce depended on uncovering the whole truth. Lena, too, became more determined, knowing that exposing the conspiracy could bring justice and healing to a town scarred by fear. The chapter closed with an uneasy feeling. Elias Grange was not the monster, but his story revealed something far more terrifying: a hidden world of control and silence, where the true evil moved unseen, waiting for the moment to strike again. The investigation was no longer just about finding a single attacker. It had become a fight against a shadowy power that threatened to destroy Briarwood from within. The investigation into Briarwood's dark secrets reached a critical turning point when Lena Marlowe and Detective Arjun Vail uncovered evidence tying Reid Calloway, the town's influential businessman, to a vast underground network. What had once seemed like scattered rumors and vague suspicions began to form a chilling picture of control, intimidation, and cruelty. Reid's carefully crafted public image was now cracking under the weight of mounting proof, revealing a man willing to do anything to protect his power. Lena's relentless digging into Reid's finances revealed suspicious transactions that linked him to shell companies and off-the-books deals. These businesses, operating in the shadows, appeared to be fronts for illegal activities: trafficking, coercion, and silencing dissent. The network extended far beyond Briarwood, connecting to powerful figures who had a vested interest in keeping the town's darkest secrets buried. This discovery shocked Lena and Arjun alike. They were no longer dealing with a local criminal, but with a well-organized criminal enterprise. At the same time, testimonies from locals began to emerge. Those brave enough to risk Reid's wrath came forward anonymously. They told stories of threats against families, unexplained disappearances, and suspicious behavior among town officials who seemed eager to look the other way. The atmosphere in Briarwood grew heavier, weighed down by fear and mistrust. Neighbors eyed each other cautiously, and whispered warnings became a part of daily life. Detective Vail and Lena realized that cracking this case meant dismantling a powerful network that had woven itself into every aspect of the town's life. They began planning a coordinated raid to gather concrete evidence and arrest those involved. This operation required secrecy and precision. Any leak could alert Reid and his associates, giving them time to disappear or destroy incriminating evidence. Maya Thornton's sudden disappearance during the sting operation sent shockwaves through everyone involved. The fear that had long gripped the town intensified, as it became clear that the monster was more ruthless and capable than anyone had imagined. The loss of their key witness threatened to unravel all the progress made and plunged the investigation into chaos. Maya's fate became the top priority, driving Lena and Arjun to work around the clock, piecing together every clue they could find. As the raid unfolded, investigators found chilling evidence in a remote warehouse, a hidden room filled with personal belongings of the missing girls, including Sarah Pierce's items. This discovery confirmed the terrifying truth. The disappearances were part of a calculated plan to silence anyone who dared to challenge Reid's control. The room contained photographs, documents, and recordings that exposed a sinister operation of trafficking and intimidation. The more evidence they uncovered, the clearer it became that Reid Calloway's influence was the real monster behind the horrors in Briarwood. He had manipulated the town, using his power and money to create a shield that kept his crimes hidden. But the sudden and brazen attack on Maya showed that his reach was growing bolder, willing to strike even when under intense scrutiny. The tension in the town escalated as arrests loomed. Reid's allies attempted to discredit Lena and the police, spreading rumors that the investigation was a witch hunt fueled by jealousy and misinformation. Public opinion was divided. Some refused to believe the man they had admired could be capable of such evil. Yet, the undeniable evidence made it impossible to ignore the dark truth. In the midst of this turmoil, Maya remained missing. The uncertainty about her safety haunted everyone involved. Arjun and Lena followed every lead, scouring the surrounding forests and abandoned properties, hoping to find her before it was too late. Each hour that passed heightened the urgency and desperation. Then, in a breakthrough, a hidden message was discovered on Maya's phone, an encrypted call for help sent moments before she disappeared. This clue led investigators to a secluded cabin deep in the woods, far from prying eyes. When they arrived, the scene was chilling. Signs of a struggle, traces of blood, but no Maya. It was a cruel reminder of the monster's cruelty and cunning. Despite the setback, this discovery gave Lena and Arjun a renewed sense of purpose. They were closer than ever to dismantling the network and rescuing Maya. The town's hope, though fragile, began to flicker again. But they all knew the fight was far from over. The chapter closed with a stark realization. The true monster was not just one person, but a shadowy web of power and fear that had strangled Briarwood for years. As the web tightened around Reid Calloway and his associates, the town stood on the edge of change. Yet, beneath the surface, danger still lurked, reminding everyone that the darkness could return at any moment. The battle to face and defeat the monster was only just beginning. The final stage of the investigation into Briarwood's nightmare was marked by both triumph and tragedy. After weeks of relentless searching, Lena Marlowe and Detective Arjun Vail finally received a crucial tip that led them to a hidden underground bunker beneath an abandoned factory on the edge of town. The location was eerily quiet, cloaked in shadows and secrecy, a perfect lair for the horrors that had plagued Briarwood for years. Inside the bunker, investigators uncovered evidence beyond anything they had imagined. Rows of cages, cold and bare, held remnants of the victims' belongings, clothes, personal items, and photographs, each telling the story of a life stolen too soon. The air was thick with a heavy silence, broken only by the sound of footsteps and whispered prayers. It was a chilling reminder of the monster's cruelty and the long nightmare the victims had endured. Maya Thornton was found in a hidden cell, weak but alive. Her rescue was a beacon of hope for a town drowning in fear and sorrow. Though physically battered, Maya's spirit remained unbroken. Her survival was a testament to her strength and determination. But the emotional scars would take much longer to heal. The moment of her discovery was met with a mixture of relief and sorrow, knowing that while she had escaped, many others had not been so fortunate. The arrest of Reid Calloway and his closest associates sent shockwaves through Briarwood. The man, once admired for his philanthropy, was now revealed as the mastermind behind a monstrous operation. The trial that followed uncovered layers of corruption, intimidation, and violence, exposing how deeply the network had infiltrated the town's institutions. Reid's cold, calculating nature was laid bare, revealing a man who had manipulated fear and power to silence his victims and protect his empire. Yet, despite the legal victory, the town faced a long road to recovery. Families of the missing struggled with grief and anger, grappling with the horrifying truth of what had happened in their midst. Community meetings were held to discuss healing and prevention, but the wounds ran deep. Briarwood had been forever changed by the monster's reign of terror. Detective Arjun Vail reflected on the challenges of the case, the lies, the threats, and the constant danger. The investigation had tested his resolve, forcing him to confront the darkness lurking within human nature and the devastating impact of unchecked power. Yet, he remained hopeful, believing that exposing the truth was the first step toward justice and healing. Lena Marlowe's work was celebrated for its courage and dedication. Her reporting had pierced the veil of silence, giving voice to the victims and shining a light on the shadowy corners of Briarwood. She continued to document the aftermath, focusing on stories of resilience and hope, reminding the town that even in the darkest times, courage could prevail. The story of Briarwood became a warning to other communities about the dangers of complacency and the importance of vigilance. It underscored how monsters could hide behind familiar faces and respected titles, using fear and influence to cover their tracks. The case inspired new laws and initiatives aimed at protecting vulnerable individuals and empowering citizens to speak out. Though the monster was finally caught, its legacy remained. A reminder that evil can thrive where silence and fear take root. The survivors in the town would carry these scars forever, but they also carried a resolve to face the future with eyes wide open. As the episode came to a close, the lingering question remained: how many monsters still walked unnoticed in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike again? Briarwood's story was a chilling testament to the truth that sometimes facing a monster means confronting not just the darkness outside, but the shadows within the heart of a community.